Hi, I'm Matt from HockeyReviews.ca, and this is the Bauer Nexus ADV from the Advanced series. This is Bauer's second ADV stick in a little while. The last one was the Supreme, which was down here. So I'm going to talk about the differences between these two. But this one is the crazy stick that has the hole in the blade. I'm going to go over the big differences and similarities between this and the Supreme right here, just because I feel like there are a big enough there's so many big differences, but there is a little bit of tech sharing, it feels like, between these two. So I kind of want to go over that. So the crazy thing about these sticks is how thin the material is. You can see it through there. It's super tiny. A normal stick is much thicker than what this is. It's crazy what Bauer is able to do with this, and it's how it makes them so light. Supreme is 369 grams. So that one, and the Nexus is 363 grams. So it's not the craziest, lightest stick on the market, but it's very, very light, and that's pretty interesting to me. So I thought the Supreme was a very interesting stick because of this the sonic taper. Where it bulges out here, and it has, I think it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I think it's 8-sided or 7-sided. Very interesting design. The idea is you can use less material, but it still stays as stiff as before with this design. The Nexus didn't quite do that. So the Nexus has one flat side and one like multi-sided shape here. So hopefully the light is kind of bouncing off that to show it off. So you have, and there is kind of a seam right here, which is a little bit, I don't feel like it counts, but you can kind of feel a little seam. So this one, instead of 4-sided, is 5-sided because it has that. So this is kind of similar to what they're doing with the Supreme, but it's also kind of similar to what the Ribcore 4 is doing, where the outside is convex and the inside is concave. This one isn't really concave. It's pretty flat all the way through. It's just the outside is. The difference is this goes all the way up here, and it keeps going to about right here on the stick. So you can actually feel it with your hand all the way through. It's pretty interesting. Hopefully this kind of shows up on camera. Definitely check out my Instagram because I'll have a ton of little tiny videos and like side-by-side photos of this and different sticks showing them off, like showing off the different tech. They did a good job with the color here to show off the ER spine, which is what they're calling this. So it does a good job showing off where that spine is actually done down there. That's kind of the basis of the shaft for the most part. Obviously, the huge difference is the blade itself with the hole in it. And so I guess I will talk about here. So the idea of this is just a normal ADV. Well, I shouldn't say normal ADV blade, but it does have the ADV design through it, which I'm really disappointed this one doesn't have. It's their like finish as well. It's on all the top end Bauer sticks. This one still has that finish, so it's kind of like a textured, but it does obviously have that hole. It no longer has the ADV printing on it, which is kind of disappointing. Instead, it has the Slingshot hole in it, and the purpose behind this, from what I read, is that the top of this is basically carbon and it's extremely stiff, while the bottom is less stiff than normal. So the idea here is when you take a shot, this part will flex, while this part will stay like really firm and rigid because it's stiffer. And then this part will kind of flatten out and then sling back in shape to match what's up here. And it will give it like a slingshot effect on the blade. I have no idea how that works. If it does work, because I can't use this stick, I just grabbed it from a local store just so I could do this video on and talk about it and talk about the differences. So that's kind of it. The thing that is pretty interesting to me, or a lot of people complain about these sticks and they say they're too expensive and hockey's getting too expensive. I don't disagree that hockey is expensive. But that's like people complaining car companies make prototypes or really limited number of like top end cars. They're not made for everybody. You don't have to go out here and get your kid this stick to be the best player. Bauer's pushing the boundaries. A lot of people say stuff is gimmicks, like this is a gimmick, this is a gimmick. Everything is a gimmick until it catches on. The minute it catches on, it's the new normal. The ribs in the trigger were considered a gimmick, and it worked. And like I think Philip Forsberg still uses a rib stick. So everything, like I'm totally pro Bauer trying this stuff. I don't buy these sticks, like I don't use these sticks, and I am like one of the biggest gear nuts out there. I have a ton of stuff, and these are too pricey for me. So I mean, it is what it is. There's certain people that are going to. I'm like I like Bauer coming out trying this stuff. They did it with the Odin. A bunch of the Odin tech is in a bunch of sticks, or sorry, a bunch of gear now. So I'm happy when they try this thing and do like different things like that. I'm really curious to see how long this lasts in terms, well, one, in terms of durability, but two, if it lasts in like the NHL and they keep using it besides this like kind of marketing release. So it'd be really interesting to see if there's like pro stocks of this. Someone made a really good point on my Instagram. They said, well, what happens if someone's stick gets caught in there? I didn't really think of that, and it's pretty easy. So very similar to how your stick can get caught in people's skates. Your stick can get caught really easily in this little groove. My question is, what would break first, this stick or that stick when it's in there? Because that's really, you could snap that pretty easy if you're trying to get away from people. So that's kind of interesting. The other interesting thing is, if I grab this puck, and someone else brought up this point. So with the hole in the blade, and people said this was just for cutting weight. I'm not so sure about that. I think there is an idea behind it too, because you wouldn't really, like you could just leave this hollow and put like ridges in it to make it like lightweight. I don't know if this cuts away weight, because this stuff part right here feels very stiff. So they had to add reinforcement to the edges. I don't know if that's all about just saving for weight. Someone mentioned, what happens if a puck hits it on its edge? And like you're taking away blade area, and you're right. I use max blades now for my all my Bauer sticks I can, and warrior sticks, because I like that ability. With this, really, you have your puck, like obviously puck fits down there fine, and puck can hit the rest of it. But the point of, well, what if you catch it wrong? What's it going to happen? A puck can easily hit that part and bounce off differently than it would just hitting that and going the other way. So I'd be really curious to see how many weird bounces come off this stick, because if it's just sitting, like if you're trying to take a pass and it comes off and hits that and totally changes direction compared to normally you would expect it kind of come off like this, but here it would, I mean, just get not stuck, but it would hit it and there's an edge, so it would totally change. I'm really curious to see if that ever happens. I'll be watching out NHL games. I'm sure people will post them if it happens, but regardless, it's really interesting. This stick is ridiculously light. It's pretty like bottom weighted, to be honest. I'm holding the stick right here, which is kind of up there, and it feels pretty heavy on the blade, versus the Supreme, which is, I hold it kind of the same spot and it feels more top heavy. So a bit different balance there between the two. So that's about it. So be sure to check out for my other video on the Nexus ADV stick. I'll compare it to a 2N Pro. So check that one out. Also, make sure you check out my Instagram, where I have a bunch of photos comparing the two, showing off the differences between the two. I think it would be kind of helpful for people, and it does give a pretty good look of like the different tapers and the different shapes of these sticks that are pretty interesting to me. So anyways, thank you very much for watching. Remember to like this video, subscribe to me on YouTube, follow me on Instagram and Twitter. Helps me get gear so I can make content like this, because I don't get this early. I don't get these at all. I don't get to shoot it. I don't get to give real feedback on it. But if you ever do buy a piece of equipment because of one of my videos, please reach out to manufacturers, let them know. Helps me get on their radar so I can do more reviews and make more content. So yeah, thank you very much for watching, and take it easy.